Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Sometimes it happens that you can be mistaken for a store employee. It's not unusual, but when it happens in a completely different country and a language you don't speak, well, more on that after a short pause. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. I don't work here. I don't work in this town. I don't work anywhere in this country. A bit over 10 years ago, over in Bratwurstland in the middle of Europe, a friend of mine enlisted my help to move his daughter's stuff. Daughter lived in a German town close to the border to Belgium. Friend came from Belgium, and while there, he wanted to stock up on frikandels, which are basically burger patties disguised as sausages. Imagine a hot dog, but it's a burger. Over in Belgium, I picked up a few things, too, and have to rely on label translations in my crappy French. My pronunciation is apparently somewhat understandable, but I would have been using Google Translate if it'd been around. Anyway, I'm pushing my cart around and feel a tap on my shoulder, turn around, ready to explain that my French is crappy in crappy French because my friend's nowhere to be seen. Presumably he's off to warn the French because what else would a German do when in Belgium or something? But the guy tells me that I should stop slacking off and tell him where the chocolates are in English. Luckily, my English is halfway decent, so I can tell him that I don't work here. Don't bullcrap me, where's the chocolate? Apparently, a bearded 6'5" dude looks like the cliché of Belgian retail worker or something. No, really, I tell him, I do not work here, and I don't know where the chocolates are. If you happen to find them, I'd appreciate it if you told me because I'd like to buy some myself. Meanwhile, a store clerk arrived and asked us in French WTF our deal is. While my new friend only replies with, what? I tell the Retailertron 4000 in crappy French with many erms mixed in that I don't work here, but my new friend here apparently thinks I'm attempting to dodge the work I don't do. Retail worker cringes really hard because French normally sounds like a brush on the cheek with silken cloth. Mine sounds like being thrown into a bed made from rusty barbed wire. Retail worker explains to me that his English is crappy and he'll fetch the manager. He's getting the manager, I tell the newest entry on my list on which to conduct unnecessary but funny surgery on and continue to look at weird meat products. Another tap on my shoulder. You think this is funny? To be honest, yes. You should be fired. I'm going to that manager of yours and get you fired. My actual manager at my actual work doesn't speak English very well, and I chuckle at the mental picture of him trying to make heads or tails out of this person's ramblings. The aforementioned person didn't appreciate my chuckling and turns up the volume. What's your deal, you effing moron? I'm grocery shopping. I'm not wearing the uniform of this store because I do not work here. Excuse me, the manager says. She talks like I imagine a female version of the TF2 spy would sound like and asks us in English as to what these foreigners are yelling about in her store. This effer refuses to do his work. I don't work here. TF2's spy female equivalent tells the dude that I do not work there and that she doesn't even know me. I've been trying to explain that, I tell her. I lift my mostly empty shopping cart up. This should have served as a strong clue. And to my new friend, I don't work here. I'm not even from this country. I'd like to finish my shopping and get out of here before someone declares my French to be a crime against humanity. If you know where to show up at my actual workplace, I would have to call the police because I'm a guard. I don't help people with buying things. I'm tasked to make sure that the things are still around the next day. And with that, I put on my shades and walked away from the explosion. Sadly, that last part didn't happen, but the manager did send me on my own way and told the other guy to shut his trap or be thrown out. In the end, I did find the aisle with the chocolate, and I didn't even invade France. And our second story. Parents being parents? Stop the presses! First, to set the stage, a small description of my store. Not exactly relevant to the tale, so feel free to skip this next paragraph. It's a medium-sized supermarket in the rainy land of England. We're located in a fairly large city right next to a coach/bus/train station, so you can imagine, come the time people clock out from their jobs and head home, we get fairly busy as people nip in to buy that thing they realize they were out of this morning or afternoon. While stalking an aisle some days ago, a pair of teenage/early 20s girls came round the corner and conspiratorially whispered in my ear that a small boy had dropped something the next aisle over and that it had gone everywhere. I thanked these two gallant gals for their heads up and braced myself to face whatever heinous spill awaited me. The next aisle round was desserts, spreads, coffee and tea and sugar. It could have been packages of custard. It could have been tins of condensed milk. It could have been a 2-kilo jar of coffee. You get the idea. My heartbeat quickened and I braced hard. I was already faintly buoyed by the fact that a customer had alerted me of this instead of merely walking on by. Faith in humanity, plus 2 points. So I go round, and thankfully it turned out to be a small plastic pot of fruit that had only a small amount of juice disgorged onto the floor, whilst the fruit itself had remained contained and unsquished. I allowed myself a small sigh of relief upon this discovery. A spill of this size was not worth bothering our in-house cleaners for, so I sallied forth to grab some paper. Faith in store, minus 1 point due to hilarious difficulty to open paper dispensers, and get to work making it dry and non-slippy. As I set to work on my hands and knees, I surreptitiously look around to see if I can ID the perpetrator of this spill via the description of small boy. Lo and behold, not 6 feet from my position on the floor stands a trio in hushed conversation. There is a middle-aged 50 to 60-year-old grandma. There's the good deal younger-looking mother, 20 to 25 years old, and there's a 5 or 6-year-old boy who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he's fervently praying to Jesus, Allah, Odin, Ra, and any other god you might like to add for the ground to simply swallow him up. His mother and grandmother have him flanked with a trolley behind him, allowing no escape, and are proceeding to, in hushed tones, deliver a mostly embarrassing scolding to the child. I watch on out the corner of my eye with interest. This is not how it usually goes down. If this little fella is indeed the perpetrator, his elders and betters have not absconded from parental responsibility as you would expect. As I'm about halfway through the mopping of said spill, Grandma notices me cleaning up the mess and shuffles over in such a manner as only a grandmother can. In a rather calm and sweet voice, she addresses me, and roughly the following conversation takes place. Grandma: "Hello, I'm so sorry about this. He made a mess. We were going to make him clean it up himself." My interest piques. Not only has she placed responsibility firmly on the little tyke's shoulders, she's already stated intent to punish. What sorcery is this, I wonder? Faith in humanity, plus 4 points. Me: "Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it." Grandma: "You see, the pot was on the floor and he decided to jump on it. I don't know why." Now, at this point, I'm trying to stop myself from chuckling as she seems very put out and confused by his actions. But I can't fault the little guy. I, too, was once a small boy who had such great ideas as making a fire pit with flammable liquids. It's amazing how odd you look with virtually no hair or eyebrows. Sometimes these things just pop out of nowhere. Grandma: "I'll take it with us and we'll pay for it at the checkouts." Good Lord, am I having a seizure? Is this heaven? Did someone just offer to pay for something they broke? I mean, admittedly, it's like a 1-pound tiny pot of fruit, but still. Faith in humanity, plus 4 points. Me: "Thank you, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. These things happen." Grandma: "Okay, if you say so. Sorry again about this." Me: "Nah, it's fine. Thank you for offering." And off she goes, back to mother and son, who has continued to be scolded all throughout this conversation. I finish my cleaning up and proceed to take the now juiceless broken fruit pot to the waste room in the warehouse, a charming room that always smells of rotten milk and always has a sticky floor. I try not to think about it. As I return to the aisle I was originally in, I catch sight of the kid still being scolded, still trying to perform a turtle-like head retreat into the coat he was wearing. Poor little thing. It was a good day. Love the extra detail. Great story. The teenagers being human and the actual parenting, the discipline, and offering to pay for the child's accident. That's what makes this story so wonderful. And our last story. Neighbor cut down a half-acre of trees on my mom's land. It started maybe a month ago when the neighbor cut down a few trees on my mom's property. She noticed this and very quickly went to talk to him in person, giving him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he thought it was his land. He cut some more trees down. Next, she sent him a letter and let him know that they were not on his property and to stop cutting trees down. He said, okay, sorry, he'd stop. Soon after, he cut some more down. She also noticed that the guy moved the property marker that delineated their properties, which is also apparently illegal. according to the forester, I think. This time, my mom sent him a cease and desist letter via certified mail telling him to stop cutting her trees down. Upon recommendation of someone, she also went ahead and posted the property to make sure there was no confusion over whether or not the guy was trespassing on her land. She recommended him to get a survey. He said he would pay half, and she basically told him, no, you're the one having trouble with knowing where your property is. You need to pay for the survey. Well, just yesterday, my mom had a forester come in to value the trees that were cut down by this man on her property to see if it'd be worth pursuing the issue further. Come to find out that he'd now cut down a half acre of about 30 trees that did not belong to him, each valued at about $200 each, so a cool $6,000 worth of trees that didn't belong to him. She was told by the forester to mark the stumps and take photos. This jerk moved out there, and my mom's in her late 60s. The guy probably thought he was going to get away with taking advantage of having an old woman as a neighbor that he assumed wouldn't do anything about it. Good thing my mom doesn't take anyone's BS. Update. Apparently this a-hole's well connected in my mom's small country town, and she's worried he'll get away with it. I assured her that this doesn't matter, especially if we get NYSDEC law enforcement involved, especially since the police officer she originally called was no help and told her it was a civil matter and not a criminal one. She's agreed to talk to a lawyer, so I'm going to try and find someone with experience in tree law. Update 2. I hired a lawyer who helped us out a lot, and it turns out the guy also dumped a bunch of asphalt on the property line, which screwed up the survey marker, so we sued him for additional property damage. Also, those trees turned out to be worth much more than $6,000. He reimbursed us more than that. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.